Allie. Join me as I show you how to make this purple rain rope, which can be made into a necklace or a bracelet here, or a matching set. It really uses a simple weaving technique with the addition of one additional row of seed beads. If you need any materials, go ahead and look below the video in the description to get links to get back to our website. Also, this is one of our projects for our retreat in 2025. So if you've ever thought about beading with a bunch of friends, check out our events page or the very bottom of our website where we have events listed. Gather up your supplies and let's get started. All right, for this purple rain pattern, you can do a necklace or a bracelet. If you want to string a lot, you can do the necklace with me, or if you feel like you need a little bit less time stringing, you can also do a bracelet, which I'm going to finish off with a 2-strand clasp here. I want to show you the design, which is a little bit more intense than just a regular netting. We're going to start out with regular netting with some size 3 lavender pearls. I have on here 15, 11, and my 3mm lavender pearls. We're going to increase from there to some 4mm bicones in 2 different colors. Then we're getting a little tricky. We're going to go into multi-hole beads. This is going to use RounDuo Mini, RounDuo, RounTrio, faceted RounTrio, and then we go down as well. So again, you can make this in groups if you want to, bigger, smaller, or you can go along and do the design with us, necklace or bracelet. To begin, we are going to be using a series of 3 beads as our core. So I am going to go in and pick up 1 15-0, 1 11-0, 1 15, and my 3mm bead. I'm going to repeat this 3 times to get that central core. Some people enjoy doing this on a mandrel or something like that. I usually like to do it freeform. Feels really nice to hold as you're working on it. And it's not a quick project. So once you have those 3 on there, we're going to bring it back to the bottom of our size 6 green dragon thread. And I have a size 10 needle on the bottom here. And I'm going to string back through, leaving about a 5-inch tail through my start of my beads. I'm going through the seed beads, one of my pearls, the seed beads, and coming out there right to create my starter loop. That starter loop, then, what we're going to do is we are going to build onto that starter loop. Coming out the pearls, our next add is 15, pearl 15. So we're going to take our needle and thread, add our 15, another pearl, a 15. Coming out the pearl, we're going to skip past the seed beads, and we are going to go into the next pearl. Now, when you're doing a tubular form, it's always a little funky right here at the beginning. So I try to kind of lay it out as I'm working on it, and I make sure that I'm not making any errors when I'm doing this by using a 15, pearl 15. I'm coming out of the pearl. I'm going into the next pearl. Once you get to about the 4th row, 5th row, that's when it becomes really easy with tubular things to know exactly where you go. Until then, it's kind of weird because it wants to go out and it wants to not sit correctly, but you will master it. A lot of people are scared of tubular designs. They're just very repetitive. 15, 3, 15 into the next pearl. At the same time, we're going to do what's called a step up. A step up is going into one of the first beads that you added on your last row. So our first row is our beginner 3 pearls with our seed beads. Our second row is this 15 pearl 15 that we've done. We're going to step up through that first 15 and we're going to exit through the pearl. Once we exit through the pearl, this is where our pattern starts to kind of take that tubular shape. It's going to want to turn into a tube, which is what we want it to do anyway. We're going to repeat that interior pattern of 15, 11, 15, and sew through all of those 3mm pearls, bending them up towards the middle. You can see I use my hand almost like a thumbnail here, where it's pulling it in towards the center. 15, 11, 15, going through the next 3mm pearl from row 2, pulling it in towards the center. See how it's starting to build that second row and almost becoming like a bowl. 15, 11, 15 into that pearl. So once we're through the first pearl, we've done that 3 times because we're always doing everything in a group of 3. Give a nice tight pull on your thread. You don't want any extra thread showing, and you don't want to pull ever where your needle is. What that does is it strips the thread that's inside the needle, and that is not good. From here, we've stepped up into basically the first pearl that we just completed, and we're going to do the same thing now over and over again. Coming out the pearl, 15, pearl, 15, through the next pearl, and tight pull, 15, pearl. Pearls can be a little tricky because of their tails, and 15 into the next pearl. Now, this is a great exercise in how to warm up your fingers. So if you're just getting ready, this is actually one of our projects for our 2025 spring retreat, because what this does is kind of gets everybody on the same level playing field. It warms up our hands, it gets us ready to go, and also it helps to define kind of where your skills are as a beader. When you get faster at this, obviously it goes a lot quicker. So here as I finish out, I'm going to step up again into that 15 and the pearl from the last row that I did. So always when you're looking at this, you're going to have basically 3 of your pearls sitting up towards the top. If they're sitting up towards the top here, you're going to add in your 15, 11, 15 as you go around. If they're all equal and even, that's when it's time to add in your 15, pearl 15, and connect the new row. You're going to keep building, and we're going to make ours longer because we're doing our necklace here. So you're going to keep building for 10 more rows. Want to learn how to become a jewelry making expert? With PotomacBeads Jewelry Making Kits, you can create unique and customized bracelets, earrings, necklaces, and pendants. Every kit uses only premium materials and is hand-packed in the USA. Whether you're new or you've been crafting for years, these kits provide an immersive experience, allowing you to create beautiful projects with ease. Visit PotomacBeads.com/kits today or click on the link in the description below. After 10 rows of our pearls here, we are switching to some bicones. You see that I've already switched and done 2 rows of the bicones. And when I say rows, we're actually doing a row every time we add our bigger bead. So our pearl or our bicone or our RounDuo mini, that's getting added. Our smaller strand that gets added, which is just seed beads, basically binds that whole row together. That's not necessary for this tubular knit, but it is an added design element that I like, and I think the seed beads are really pretty to enter and pull that together. In between the design here, as you progress, you're just going to keep going with the exact same pattern for now as we increase from a 3mm pearl to a 4mm bicone. Just like the pearl, once you do a couple rows, the bicone will also kind of sit a little bit nicer as you're going in and creating. Give a nice tight pull with your thread after each row and see how that increases the size of the tube as well as the speed, because it's bigger, so we're getting longer faster. All right, so I hate using a ton of thread at once. It weakens the thread to pull that much through each bead, and also it's a lot to pull and just makes you a slower beader. The main thing is that it weakens the thread every time you're pulling and pulling and pulling through the bead, so I usually don't like to use more than 5 feet of thread. I thought this was a great way to show you exactly how I'm adding my thread. I've cut a new piece of 5 feet of thread, put my needle on the end, so it's already done after this, and I'm going to take the new piece of thread and I'm going to simply tie it in a knot around the old piece. So I'm not incorporating the old piece yet. I'm just tying the new piece around the old piece. Nice tight pull. I'm going to pull both ends, which is going to force that knot down next as close as it can to the bead. Take those 2 thread ends now, and you're going to tie those 2 thread ends together with a simple knot and a nice pull. Now I'm going to tie the 2 thread ends together again with a sewer's knot, going through the loop once, going through the loop twice with that same piece of thread, and pulling it down towards the end. After I get further into the project, I'll go in and cut this down and then burn those thread ends down to create a nice flush edge so that way the knot does not open. It's a nice idea after you do your knot to retrace your steps a little bit with your needle and thread before going into the first stitch or adding more beads right away. I like to kind of reinforce it. You'll see I'll go down here into my beads a little bit, and then I'll go in and start my next row of my beads. I used the area between the seed beads and the bicone in order to tie the knot. Now I'm away from that knot and I'll go back in and start to go. You'll also notice that I switched colors of bicones. Just like the pearls, I did 30 total beads, 3 groups of 10, going around and around and around in the circle. And I'm just continuing on, same pattern with the 3 and the 4 millimeter. It's not till we increase to the RounDuo Mini that we are going to increase our seed bead count as we're working on it. In addition, our RounDuo Mini, which is next, has 2 holes, so it's going to change the process a little bit. I love the loosey feeling of this and the way that it turns and bends. If you are not into that, you can do some tubing, even a straw in the interior will work, or rubber as well, the rubber tubing, or you can even do a little bit of a pipe cleaner style of material in the middle to hold that open. I love the feel though of the laciness. Continue on increasing till we get to our RounDuo Mini next. All right, now is the exciting time. We're getting into 2 hole beads. We're going to go in now and use our RounDuo Minis first. They are also a 4 millimeter bead, but because they're not cut like bicone, they're going to appear a little bit bigger. We're going to use a 15-0 on either side of the RounDuo and skip over to our next bicone, just like we would regularly. And we're going to do that the whole way around through 1 hole of the RounDuo. Remember, there's 2 holes. It doesn't matter which hole you go into first. 15, RounDuo, 15, into the next bead. All right, once you're there, now here's where it changes a tiny bit. So I'm going to go up into that first hole of the RounDuo, stepping up, just like we've been doing the whole method here. And we're going to add an 11, 15, 11. And we're going to do that the whole way around, going through that first hole. So we're not hopping to the second hole at all. Just go into the first hole, those 3 times around. 15, 11, 15. Again, into that first hole. Now we're going to utilize the second hole now to make ourselves an X. I'm going to go through that first RounDuo, through the first 15, and through the first 11 that was added in that last row of 15, 11, 15. We're going to pick up 1 more 15 and go through the second hole of our RounDuo. 15 through the 11, 15 through the second hole of the RounDuo. 15 through the 11, etc., etc. 15 through the second hole. Now, when I come back out through that RounDuo, I still have 1 more 15 to add from the initial beginner section here. I add my 15, I go through my 11, I go through the 15 that I added first as my step up, and I go through my RounDuo and out. You can see that puts an X right in the middle of the RounDuo. As we get further in, you can see that it's magnified even more. We're going to go around and we are going to add our 15 RounDuo 15 now to do our next set. So it's the same thing here. I'm going to pour out a couple more of my 15-0s, using a lot of them. 15 RounDuo Mini, 15 into the second hole of the next RounDuo Mini. So don't overthink it. It's pretty much the exact same. We're just utilizing the second hole to get a nice X effect. into the next bead, 15, RounDuo mini 15, into my first bead, and then again I'm going to do my step up just like we've been doing through the 15, through the RounDuo mini, then we're going to do our 15, 11, 15 the whole way around through hole number 1. When it comes to hole number 2, we'll join together with that 11-0, just adding a 15 before and after to get that nice X effect. That's it. Nothing too complicated, nothing too fancy. Don't get mixed up with your thread and your pliers, and that'll make it nice and easy for you to keep going. Go the whole way around and add in, again, just like we've been doing, 15, 11, 15. Once you're the whole way around, you're going to step up through the 15 and the 11, bring your needle out, and now go around and connect the whole second hole with your 15 O's to get that completed. Then on to the next row, and so on and so forth. So still super easy. 15 through the RounDuo mini, 15 through the 11. So having some fun with it now, I'm increasing from the 5mm RounDuo to a 6mm bicone. Then we're going to go to the RounTrios, and then we're going to go to the faceted RounTrios. When it comes to the RounDuos, I didn't do the whole row of 10 rows just because that's getting long for that color. The RounDuos have the exact same pattern with the 1, 1, 1 going the whole way around. And then here with the 2mm bicones, we're slightly switching it up. I'm going in and creating the links with, instead of one 15-0, with two 15-0s on the sides. So two 15-0s go up to the bicone as we go around and pull the bicone so that it's sitting correctly back to the 1, 1, 1, 115, 111, 115, and into the next bicone. Like the RounDuos, I'm not going to do a whole row of 10 of these or 10 stitches around of them because it's just going to start getting long. The color, as the beads get bigger, just gets longer because of that design. You can say I have 3 here. I'm going to go in and I am going to switch now after those 3 rows of my bicones into 3 rows of RounDuo, or RounTrios rather. So the only difference with the RounTrios is that the RounTrios have 3 holes. We're not going to use the center hole. We are just going to use the first and the third hole as we're working on it. You can see here the increase that we are going to do is 2 of our 15-0s before our 11-0 and then 2 15-0s after it. So as we exit here, it's still going to be that same pattern of 115 into one of the outer holes of our round trio, 115, and into the next 6mm bead. Again, 1, 1, 1, into the next bead. 1, 1, 1, into the next bead. Now here's again where we just switch it up ever so slightly, going up into that first hole of the round trio, going in and adding 2 15s. This is because as they get bigger, there's more distance between them. So 2 15s, 1 11, 2 15s into that same first hole. Again, there's 3 holes to the round trio. We're only using holes 1 and 3. We're not using the second hole in the middle. Around and around we go. And just like we did with the other multi-hole beads, as we get to the end here, we are going to do our step up by going through the first 1, 2 15s and the 11-0. After that, we're adding 1 and 2 15s, just like we did to start, and sewing into the third hole of that round trio. That's it. That's the only difference, is that it's 2 seed beads before the 11 and after. That's your only difference in your design. I'm going to go in and add a couple rows here of my round trios. Then we're going to switch to our faceted round trios, and then we're going to start to downgrade. So after you get bigger, you get smaller again. That's easy to know since we're doing this graduated rope style. So as you got bigger and started adding in the round trios, then you go down to the round trios that are not faceted, 6mm bicones, into those RounDuos, RounDuo minis, 4s, etc., and come on out with your pearls. Now I've put the clasp on my necklace here, and then what I'm going to show you to do is how to put the clasp. I'm using the same one onto the bracelet. If you want to, this is a bangle style bracelet. You can sew it together, but obviously you don't have to, as evident here. And I'm putting the same clasp on both for the design. Now, the reason I've chosen the clasp, I went back and forth. I really liked this one with it, but I decided I wanted a round clasp since the design is round. There's no top or bottom. It can roll around as you're wearing it. So how are we going in and adding the clasp, and what are we using to do so? I'm using some wire guards or wire guardians. They are a little horseshoe shaped piece of metal that are going to attach directly to the clasp. I'm going to show you how we downgrade from a tubular version and make it into the clasp style as we continue. So basically what we have here is we have the tube that we want to close in order to put on our clasp. To close the tube, I've put a needle on this end here that just had the extra thread, and I'm coming out one of my pearls. I'm going to grab 1 and 2 of my 15-0s, skip over the 15, 11, 15, and go right into the next pearl. Nice tight pull, same thing, 2 15s, right in to the next pearl. 2 15s, right into the next pearl. Nice tight pull, and now we're going to step up into those 15s. Now what we're doing is we're making the space smaller, essentially closing off the tube. We're going to add an 11-0, which is going to sit basically directly above the pearls, and we're going to sew into those 15-0s that we just added. We're going to add 3 because this whole project is everything is in 3 since we decided to start with 3 as our number for the tube. If you want it thicker, you can certainly do 4, 5, 6. That's up to you. We go the whole way around, putting in an additional 11-0 seed bead, a nice tight pull, and then we're going to step up into the 11-0 that we just added. Because the 2 15s are smaller than the 3 beads below and the 11 is smaller than the pearl, automatically already we're getting that tube closed. We are now going to add 3 more 11-0s that sit right between the 3 11 that we just added on the previous row, and that's it. That closes up our end. If you want to, you can go in and you can add 15s as well and keep downgrading, but for me this is good enough because I'm going to attach my wire guards for my clasp. I'm sewing around all 6 here then, because I actually want to make an even number. So they'll sit a tiny bit off from one another, but pretty much closed right next to each other there at the end. Coming out one of the beads, we're going to grab our wire guard or wire guardian. Again, the wire guardian is a U-shaped channel with closed sides on each end. They're not officially closed. It's actually just a tube that is created from closing over the end. I'm going to go through the wire guard, back down through the other side, put on my clasp because it needs to hang out there in the middle of the wire guard. And then you're going to go over to the opposite side of 11-0. You're going to count over 1, 2, and sew through the third bead. Now I'm going to go back up through the wire guard and through the clasp. Give a nice tight pull there on your thread. And when you get to the opposite side, you're going to go down through your wire guard. And whichever side your thread came out of the 11-0, see how it's wanting to pull out a little bit? We'll tighten it up. You're going to sew into the opposite side of that same 11-0 seed bead. Once you do that, we're going to give a nice tight pull. Make sure your thread and needle is still in that U channel. Now we have 2 strands through that U channel. We're going to do a 3rd and a 4th. Going through here, nice tight pull, through the clasp, down through. And then as we go in to finish it off, what we're going to do is basically just sew down the project into it in different spots And we are going to turn our thread back and forth to sew our thread and get rid of it. We're also going to tie off our thread, which I'll show you in a second here. Coming out through the wire guard, making sure again we don't see any of that thread along the sides. Going through the 11. And now as we exit through the 11 here, and we've gone through our clasp multiple times, we're going to go down. So we're going to go down through the 15s, spin it down through the pearls. You're very familiar at this point with spinning this tubular jewelry. Down through, down, down, down. Once you're down a couple rows, you're going to sew underneath what's called a bridge thread, a thread that connects one strand or one bead to another. Make a loop, sew through the loop once, sew through the loop twice, which is going to get you a nice sewer's knot. Looks like a little bit of a knot there. You're going to pull nice and tight to get rid of any extra thread. Sew into another area that you don't see any extra thread there. And you're going to do the same thing. If you have thread ends, you can simply tie those thread ends together. I'm going to do one more position where I go in and tie a knot. And then I'm going to show you guys a technique that I really like for burning off my thread ends in big projects like this. Oh, and by accident, I sewed out of my loop. Good to know. There we go. All right, sewing away from my knot, down a little further. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some scissors, cut off my thread end here. My better scissors are on the other end, of course. And see that I leave myself a little bit of a tail. I'm going to go in with my flame shooter here, burn it down, and blow it out right as it stops to get to the end to finish off this tubular pattern. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this purple rain rope necklace. It's fun to do all the different styles of this netting, have the necklace be worn in all different ways, and then even have enough supplies to make a matching bracelet. Remember, if you've ever thought about joining in, this is one of our 2025 retreat projects that we did with a group of people hanging out, loving beads, and really enjoying the craft. If you want to meet an awesome community, check out our events page. At the very bottom of our website, you can check out there too for upcoming things that you can join in and become an amazing part of this community. As always, thank you so much for joining in and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.